Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to the Business English Hour, the English Business Hour, whatever it's called, with me, James O'Reilly. Very happy to have you here with me today. And I've got a few good things for us to look at to help you improve on your business English. So let's have a look without any further ado and see what we have lined up to help you improve on your English today. So I'm going to jump over right now and I'm going to have a look over here, and here we go. So I'll just make sure that you guys can see, and the first thing we're going to look at is false friends. So especially seeing as I'm situated here in Spain, but also we'll see if we can see if they tie in with your language as well. But these are generally focused on the problems that you can face and when you're speaking English as a Spanish speaker, but also as someone from another language. You need to be careful. Then we're going to go and look at some business phrasal verbs. After that, we will be looking at human resources. We're going to look at a specific interview question. We're going to be seeing how can you tackle this one question. A little bit of advice from me to take into account. It could come in useful for you. After that, we're going to look at business idioms with food, and we'll give you about 5 of those. And I'm going to then look at formal greetings when you say hello. So often we think, or perhaps you're just using the same greeting all the time in English. Maybe you want to make it a little bit different, and I can give you a bit of context of when and how to say this in a formal way in English, and perhaps I'll then throw in the informal way. So let's go, and we're going to be looking at the false friends that we have between English and Spanish. And one of the first one, especially dangerous for girls in the language when you come over to or you go to a Spanish speaking country, is when you say embarazada. So that for us is we think we're saying the word embarrassed, but in fact, as you know, in Spanish it's pregnant. So embarazada is embarrassed, which is when you are very ashamed, is like, oh, or you like, for example, when you fall in front of people, like you're at a meeting or you do a presentation and you fall, you're going to be very, oh my god, you're going to be very embarrassed. A common one as well that people often say is, actually, I now work for this company. Now, this actually, actual, would be in Spanish. In English is means in fact. When we say, well, you're from the UK, right? Actually, I'm from Ireland. So it means, in fact, I'm from Ireland. It's when you're going to give an alternative piece of information, but it kind of means just in fact. So that's another false friend, because often we'll use it wrong in Spanish, and you guys can, of course, it works both ways. It's a false friend. Next is asistir in Spanish, which means to attend and not to assist. So in English, to assist is to help. And when you say to asistir, like a meeting, in English we would say we're going to attend a meeting. Okay, so if you would say I will assist a meeting, you will attend a meeting. Assist is generally to assist someone, is to help when we say assist. Next one is libreria. This works for us in the sense, which for you is a bookshop. So a libreria is a bookshop and not a library. For us, I would see these small little shops when I first came here, and I would think, why is the library so small? But in fact, a library for you guys is a biblioteca. A library is a biblioteca. Okay. Or a bookstore is a libreria. So this one is quite complicated as we move down the list. Sensible is when you're using your head and you think about things, and sensitive is when you're using your feelings. Okay, and we get this mixed up in Spanish. So when we say somebody is sensible in English, what you mean to say is they're using their head, and when they're sensitive, they're using their emotions too much. On to the next one is rato. So it's not what you would say for a rat, which is raton. And in English, rato in English means a while. Okay, for a so I'm going to rest for a while, or I'm going to sit here for a while. Next is eventual, and possible, and not eventual. It means possible. Okay, I have to double check. I might get back to that one. I'm not so sure. Eventual, possible. That's a new one for me as well. Next one is definitely common, to realize. You think in realizar in Spanish, which is to carry out. Now that's a useful phrasal verb in English. To carry out is to do or to carry out. Realizar. Okay, to realize in English is darse cuenta. That is to realize, but really to carry out, if you want to say realizar, is to carry out a task, to carry out a project. Then we have espectáculo in Spanish, which means show and not spectacle. And I think more importantly than that one, we have fábrica in Spanish, and that means factory, but not fabric. Okay, so for us, fabric is material, tela, and fábrica is a factory. Okay, so they're common faults, friends. I hope that's kind of useful for you. You can stop the video, look at the list, and you can see if you're, and of course if you're just listening, that's no problem. I'm reading them out. We will then go on, or move on, phrasal verb, move on to our next slide. And in this, we're going to be talking about business phrasal verbs. Okay, so what we have here is, how many do I have on my list? 5, just a few short ones for you. 5. And the first one is to negotiate. Pronunciation, shh, negotiate. You could say negotiate as well. It kind of works okay. So to negotiate is to discuss and reach an agreement with someone, often in a business setting. And that is another false friend, in fact, is discuss. Discuss in English is absolutely fine. It's no problem. It doesn't mean what the false friend is to argue, discutir. In English, to discuss is to chat, to talk about a specific topic. And to negotiate, you're reaching an agreement in a business setting. To delegate, this is something that a manager will often do, to assign a task or responsibility to someone else, usually a subordinate, so usually a team member. If I am the manager, I'm going to say, can you do this? And I want you to do that. And I need you to do this. And I'm giving all the work, and I'm delegating the tasks. Okay, I'm delegating to my team. To collaborate, also listen to the pronunciation. I hope I can help you with the pronunciation. Number 2 is to delegate. Number 3, to collaborate. To work together with others to achieve a common goal. So often as well, when I think about business, working together for something, sometimes you'll see, for example, if we take the fashion industry, you'll often have music artists collaborating with companies such as Louis Vuitton, perhaps, or Nike. You'll have an artist who designs a special shoe, and they're working together. They are collaborating. After that, we have number 4, which is to streamline, and this is to make a process or a system more efficient and effective. That is to streamline. Okay, and that's used quite often. And finally, we have to outsource, which is very, very common in the business world. As we become more international, as the world becomes smaller, a lot of things have been outsourced. What is it? It is to contract with an external company or individual to provide goods or services that otherwise would be performed by internal staff. Let's take it on to a national level. If we take a car company, for example, and we'll take Renault as an example, okay? And they will be getting things done in China perhaps, and then something else done in Indonesia. So they're getting them to make the seats in Indonesia. They're getting them to make certain small parts for the car in China. They're getting those businesses to do that instead of doing it in France, where it's much more expensive and often could be a situation where you have to give more rights to your workers. Anyway, that's political. I'm not interested in that. But getting other people to do your work for you. Fantastic. Right, so let's move on. I'm going to do some listening with you guys as well today. It's important to practice your English listening. We'll reach that soon enough. I'm going to go on to the next one for you today. And this is a human resources question. We'll be looking at these individually. And the one I want to focus on today is a common one, which is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Now, of course, we're going to look at this question, and then at the end, I'll tell you some. So this question is designed to understand the candidate's career aspirations, their goals, and how long and how they align with the company's long-term goals. Are you going to be a fit for the company? Are you going to be the right person that they want? And are they going to be right for you in this collaboration? So I found a useful answer that we can talk about that is generic, and then from there you'll work in how it can work for you. So in 5 years, I see myself as a valuable member of your team. Watch the pronunciation, okay? We'll start again. Pronunciation. In 5 years, I see myself as a valuable member of your team, having taken on more responsibility and having made significant contributions to the growth and success of the company. I hope to have advanced in my career and have taken on a leadership role within the team. I also plan to continue developing my skills and knowledge in my field through training and professional development opportunities. Overall, my goal is to be a dedicated and committed employee who continuously strives to make a positive impact on the company and its clients. Okay, so I hope I was pronouncing the words well and coherently for you. And I'll go through again a little bit quicker this time. And before I do, I wanted to point out a useful word here in the third line, taken on. To take on is, in Spanish, I think, is asumir, is to have more. Okay, so in 5 years, I see myself as a valuable member of your team, having taken on more responsibility and having made significant contributions to the growth and success of the company. I hope to have advanced in my career and have taken on a leadership role within the team. I also plan to continue developing my skills and knowledge in my field through through training and professional development opportunities. Overall, my goal is to be a dedicated and committed employee who continuously strives to make a positive impact on the company and its clients. Right, now this comes with a kind of disclaimer, okay? It's important to mention that this is just an example, and it's important to tailor or fit your answer to the company and the job that you are applying for, okay? Obviously, the answer should show your ambition and willingness to grow with the company and how you see your role in the company's future plans. Also, it should show your ambition and willingness to learn and grow professionally. So go back, look at this answer. You can tailor it to fit it to how you can fit within the company that you or job you are indeed applying for. So I'll be looking at these human resources questions. That one is, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Very typical question. You should be prepared for it, and it's not too difficult. As I said, you can stop this and look at it and bring it round to the way you want to tie it in for your job. What I'm going to do is now we're going to do a bit of listening practice, okay? So here we go. This is about the situation in Iran. It comes from The Guardian newspaper. I have to say, I am not sponsored by The Guardian. I wish I was. I'd be very fortunate to be sponsored. But it's a very useful newspaper. They have some videos like most newspapers nowadays. This is The Guardian newspaper, and what we're looking at here is the situation in Iran. So let's play and have a listen.
The fear that the regime wanted to create has failed. In fact, it has fueled the anger. The Iranian protesters want the Iranian regime, the Islamic Republic, to go down. In words of protesters, this movement, sparked by the death of Mahsa Amini at the hands of the morality police, has now become a revolution. It's about being able to live with freedom and control over their own lives. It appears that the regime is afraid of the protesters and that they're trying everything possible to stop them. Now, to actually show that they still have power over civilians, over the protesters, and to scare people into giving up, they've started executing people after these reported sham trials. As of now, 4 protesters are known to have been executed. The first took place in December last year and was really a shock. Iran executed 23-year-old Mohsen Shakari, who was accused of Maharabe, which essentially means waging war against God. We found out later that he was not given access to legal support. Rights groups have reported that Shakari was tortured and forced to confess. Activists from Iran say that the regime has been making up cases against these protesters, some of whom actually were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that they have not seen any solid proof. Trials last anywhere between 5 minutes to 15 minutes and behind closed doors. Human rights groups claim there is absolutely no legal process and are calling these trials sham trials. On December 12th, less than a week after the first execution, they executed a 23-year-old protester, Majid Raza Rahnavad.
Okay, as you can see, this is in relation to Iran. I'm just going to fix my camera because it's after stopping. I have to activate it again. There we go. And one word that keeps coming up in this is sham. A sham trial. A trial is when you go to court and they say you did this and you need to defend yourself, and there's 12 people who will decide if you're guilty or not guilty. This is a sham. This is a trial, and a sham is kind of like a fake one. So let's continue with the video. And as you can see as well, in fact, I think what I'll do is I'll hide my camera for the moment, because that way you can see the subtitles as the lady is speaking. So let's continue with the video.
And they circulated a video online. It shows Majid Raza hanging from a crane in public. It was an attempt to scare people. These stories, when they came out, they had the exact opposite impact on people because they're not scared, they're angry, especially after the executions of Mohammad Mehdi Karami and Syed Mohammad Husseini on 7th of January.
Amnesty International said that the court that convicted Karami relied on forced confessions. And Hosseini's lawyer said in a tweet in December that Hosseini had been severely tortured.
The regime accused these men of killing a Basiji, which is a member of the paramilitary security force. The videos of him lying dead went viral, and these men, they were sentenced to death. There is this extremely powerful video of Karami's father at Syed Mohammad Husseini's grave. I spoke to someone close to Mehdi Karami's family who said that Karami's father went to Syed's grave to show his solidarity, even though they had never met. He wanted to make sure that neither of them had died in vain. The executions, they sent a shockwave among protesters. However, it hasn't affected the protests the way the regime expected it to. And we spoke to a very close friend of one of the protesters who's on death row right now. He's still in the prison. And he said what they've done, the regime with the executions, is that they've created this fire under the ashes. People continue to protest and they continue to get arrested. The reason there are not as many on the streets is because over 19,500 people have been arrested during the protests. But there are still young people standing in the middle of highways putting up banners which could put them in prison right away. And they're still doing it. They're doing everything possible to tell the world that please continue listening to us because the Iranian revolution is not done. We're still fighting for freedom. So they haven't stopped protesting. It hasn't had the effect that the regime wanted.
Okay, very interesting article there from the Guardian newspaper. And I'll just bring over here and activate this camera again. Yes, I hope this can help you with your listening. I'll take my headphones off here. Hope this can help you with your listening. It's something that's really quite important that we need to kind of practice when we're learning a language. You want to get that, just kind of get used to listening to something in foreign language every day. One thing I can recommend is just before you open your own newspaper from wherever you may be from, to just look at an English news feed, or perhaps find a podcast that you like. One podcast I can recommend that I was talking to my students about this morning is from the Financial Times. Generally gives you a breakdown of the news that has for the start of your day. Every day, it's free. You can get it online on your whatever platform you use, or you can get it on their application, which is free to download. So that's from the Financial Times. Gives you the news in brief, 5-10 minutes of decent news, and you'll have American and the English accent there. Very useful. All right then, so let's go on, and we are going to look at our next thing now, which is our business idioms with food mentioned. So I've got 9 of them here. Why not 9? Because it's normally 5 or 10 or, but 9 is a good number as well. Why not? So these are business idioms with food. So to bring home the bacon, this idiom means to earn a living or make a lot of money. So you're bringing home the bacon as you're bringing home the money. It means to earn a living or make a lot of money. Often somebody would say, somebody's got to bring home the bacon. And I think in other languages it might be, we got to bring home the bread. So that's bring home the bacon. Next is cooking up a storm. This idiom means to be very productive or busy, often in a creative or energetic way. So they're cooking up a storm in there. So quite a useful one. You do hear this mentioned in English, to be very productive or busy, often in a creative or energetic way. Next one also is quite used, and you hear it often, is eating humble pie. Pie is like a cake, or not necessarily sweet, but this idiom means to apologize or admit one's mistake and accept criticism or punishment. Sometimes you don't have to admit the mistake to eat humble pie. It's just clear for everybody to see that you were wrong, and now you have to kind of, maybe admit that you're wrong about something, and you have to eat the humble pie. Taste of your own medicine means to experience something unpleasant that you have often inflicted on other people yourself. So a taste of your own medicine. I kind of like to think of, like, if you're playing a video game with other, with your kids or your friends, and they keep doing something to you. Like if you're playing Mario Kart and they keep hitting you with a shell, and then you do it to them, it's like, have a taste of your own medicine, So, but it's something that somebody has been doing to you, and then now it's happening to them, or, something that you've been doing. And so this is very common, I think, in most other languages, and that is a taste of your own medicine. The next one is a banquet of opportunities, and this means to have a lot of opportunities available to someone. So a banquet is a very elaborate, fancy dinner, like that kings and queens would have, or modern day people. A banquet is very special, and there's often a lot of food. So if you have a banquet of opportunities, it speaks for itself. You have a lot of opportunities. So something similar would be a feast of ideas. This idiom means a lot of creative and new ideas. So that's what you really want when you're brainstorming and you come out of a meeting, you come out of being with your team, and you've a feast of ideas. You could even say, I think you could say a banquet of ideas. Pretty much the same thing. A feast of ideas. A feast and a banquet are kind of synonyms. A slice of the pie. This idiom means a share of the profits or benefits. So often you can think a pie is it's food in a circle like a cake, but it's more like it can be meat. And when we do these charts, when you're doing a presentation and you're showing percentages, often a chart to show percentages of the market, we call these pie charts. They're the circle ones with the triangles. So you want a slice of the pie, and that means you want your slice of the profits or your share of the benefits. A banquet of options, again, is something similar to a banquet of opportunities. This idiom means a lot of options available. So a feast of options, a banquet of options, a feast of ideas, a banquet of ideas, and then a taste of success. This idiom means experiencing success or a small amount of it. So it is nice for people to have that sensation of the taste of success, or the taste of victory, sometimes people say as well. A taste of success. I hope these are useful for you. Let's go down through them again. Bringing home the bacon, cooking up a storm, eating humble pie, a taste of your own medicine, a banquet of opportunities, a feast of ideas, a slice of the pie, a banquet of options, and a taste of success. Try and use at least one of these somehow this week or today. It's quite difficult to start using this, so you just gotta start, okay? The one I want to start using, or I'm gonna try and somehow use, is bringing home the bacon. I live in Spain, so I'm gonna try and say, I think it's traer el pan a casa. So if I'm right, somebody can correct me. I definitely want people to correct me, okay? Also, leave comments. Tell people if this is useful for you. Please tell people about this stream, because it's useful for me, and it'd be great to have more people watching. And I hope I can help you with your English. And just remember that we are we're doing this with LK Formación. This is who we're working with. And tailor-made solutions for your business. Get over to the website lkformacion.com, and let's move on to our next one. What have we got? So this is something that I was talking about with somebody, and often it can be a bit tricky. It's something very basic, but a lot of people just say hello, But let's have a look at the alternatives. Okay, so if we're going to greet someone formally, we can say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Let me tell you, basically in English, the afternoon starts at 12 o'clock midday. Okay, before lunchtime is the afternoon. So the afternoon goes from 12 to around 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, you're going to probably say good evening, or maybe as it starts to get darker. But often the afternoon is until work finishes, in a general sense, around, for let's say countries like the UK or the United States, where work will generally finish around 6 o'clock. But the afternoon is kind of an area of, it finishes around 5 o'clock, and then you're going into the evening. After that, we have How do you do? I think this is a really nice way. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening is a polite and formal way to greet someone, depending, of course, on the time of day. The evening goes up to about 9 o'clock, and then after 9 o'clock, it's nighttime. How do you do? This is a more formal way to greet someone and inquire about their well-being. It's like, how do you do? Often, if you meet someone and if they are from a business, it is nice to just say, and they introduce you, say, hi, this is James. James, this is Mark. How do you do? How do you do? And you just kind of repeat, but you can say, how do you do quite quickly. How do you do? And it's quite nice. It's formal and it's nice. After that, we have pleased to meet you. Definitely can use all of these. Pleased to meet you. It's a polite and formal way to greet someone when you're meeting them for the first time. Pleased to meet you. Nice to meet you. Pleased to meet you. Definitely can use this and it will always work well. How do you do? Or pleased to meet you. If they say it first, you can say, pleased to meet you. You can say, okay, they got in first. What do I say? You too. Okay, that's all you need to say. You too. Pleased to meet you. You too. And then we have, it's an honor to meet you. This is a formal way to greet someone when you meet them for the first time, especially if they are someone important or respected. Okay, if it's someone that you really feel, wow, I'm meeting this person, it's amazing, because that person is really respected, perhaps in the world. You're talking perhaps about presidents, somebody who's won a Nobel Prize, or somebody you really admire for something they've done. In the environmental sense, it could be Greta Thunberg. In politics, it could be... is there anybody that you want to say it's an honor to meet you in politics? But maybe, like, let's say, for example, if in the past, Nelson Mandela, if I met Nelson Mandela, I would have said, it's an honor to meet you. Okay, somebody really that you have that feeling. And it might be in your area. It might be someone in the science area, in the tech area, that has really done something that you feel is special, and you really feel it. You say, it's an honor to meet you, and you really mean it. Okay? And then finally we have welcome, and then you say the name welcome. Let me try and think of someone who is around at the moment. So, okay, Richard Dawkins, okay. Welcome, Richard Dawkins. This is a formal way to greet someone, especially when they are visiting or joining a group or organization. Yes, when you welcome and then you say their name. Welcome, James. Welcome to the team. Welcome, Richard. Welcome, Anna. And this is nice and formal as well. All right, then. So I hope that was useful for you today. Nice, short, and sweet. We're not going to keep you too much longer. And I shall be back in the next couple of days to do another stream for you. As I said, I hope it's been useful for you. If it is, please share with people you know. And of course, if you can revisit this, look at the slides, and I hope it's going to be helpful for you. Also, if it's too fast, you can go onto YouTube, give me a like there as well, and you can follow with the subtitles, which should be auto-generated. I'll be back in a couple of days to talk to you again for the English Business Hour. Have a fantastic day. See